You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. Whether it's for food, fuel, drinks, or snacks, about half of the U.S. population shops at a convenience store every day. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
No matter what industry you're in, about 1 in 5 jobs is considered a bad job. And bad jobs don't just hurt the employee with the job, it hurts the company that provides the job. It's bad for culture, it's bad for profits, and it chases away customers. We're going to spend some time today, and we're going to talk about the strategy so you can have good jobs. Welcome to Convenience Matters. My name is Jeff Lenard with NACS.
And I'm Carolyn Schnare, also with NACS.
And Carolyn and I both have good jobs, but today we're going to be joined by Zeynep Tan. She is professor at MIT, professor of the practice at MIT, and author of the Good Job Strategy. Welcome, Zeynep.
Thank you, Jeff and Carolyn, for having me.
So we started out by talking about metrics, and I said 1 out of 5 jobs is considered a bad job. Can you kind of tell us, since we're talking about the good job strategy, what exactly is defined as a bad job, and what exactly is defined as a good job?
Yeah, so a good job in the work that I have done over the last 20 years, speaking to a lot of retail employees, frontline employees, as well as managers, and reading the literature as an academic, a good job, you can think about a job that meets workers' basic needs. Basic needs such as pay and benefits, stable schedules that enable them to lead a good life, career paths to higher positions, and security and safety. So at a minimum, a good job meets people's basic needs. But then to be a great job and to have the conditions for engagement and motivation, a good job also creates a sense of belonging for people, where they feel pride of working for a company. A good job is one where people have a sense of achievement. They have the tools, they have the autonomy, they have the resources to be a good job, and they are recognized for the good work that they do, and they find meaning and dignity in their work. So a good job meets people's basic needs and creates the conditions for engagement and motivation by meeting their higher needs.
So when you talk about a good job, companies, it's not that there's certain specific roles within a company that are bad jobs. Just saying, this job is always going to be a bad job because that involves this type of function and there's no thought required, there's no joy in it. But good jobs really go across what the function is. It's more the company has set up a system where everyone has a good job, or a much, much higher percentage of people has a good job. So it really comes down to strategy as opposed to function of that job. And I think that's one of the messages that we saw in your book.
You're exactly right. And we can find good jobs in places like train cleaning services, to hospitals, to hotels, to restaurants, to retail stores. And retail is the part that I'm most excited about, because that's where a lot of Americans and a lot of people in the world work.
Well, and retail tends to get a bad rep sometimes for being not a great job. But I mean, Jeff and I know just from a lot of the folks that we've met over the years that we've talked to on this podcast that it is a great job. There's a lot of chance for advancement, but that's not every company. So I think you can help us get some of those companies to that spot. So what can retailers, right off the bat, what are some of the basic things that retailers should offer to new employees or to current employees in order to make them good jobs as they work their way up to great jobs?
Yep, that's exactly right, Carolyn. In the industry, the retail industry, oftentimes is seen, and this makes me cringe, is seen as a stepping stone to a good job. So you can start in retail, and then that will be a stepping stone to a better job. But it is possible to make every retail job a good job from the beginning until you move up in the organization. So for retailers to be able to offer their frontline employees jobs, it's not different than what I defined before, to be able to offer decent wages. And the wages could differ based on whether you're a part-timer or a full-timer, whether you're taking care of your family or not. Stable schedules that enable you to take care of your life and career paths and opportunities for success and growth. So it's not different than any other setting. And luckily, there are a bunch of retailers who have figured out how to offer good jobs to their employees. I'll give one example. Costco, for example. If you look at Costco, right now, hourly wages in the U.S. warehouses at Costco is slightly over $23 an hour. $23 an hour. That is more than twice the retail average. So, and Costco offers 100% promotion from within for their frontline manager positions. So if you are a manager, a warehouse manager, or a department manager at Costco, you have been hired as a frontline and you grew up to that position. So here you enter as a cashier perhaps, but you think about being a department manager or a store manager. And once you're a store manager, that is a big, important job. So Costco has figured this out. Trader Joe's has figured this out. In your industry, Quick Trip has figured this out. One of my favorite supermarkets. Quick Trip, QUI, yes, yes, with Q and U. And Mercadona, a Spanish supermarket chain, has figured this out too. So there are opportunities to make the retail jobs good jobs. But to be able to do that, companies, if you are Costco and you're going to pay $23 an hour, your employees need to be able to contribute to more than $23 an hour, or you're not going to be profitable. So the key when I analyzed these companies was their ability to design and manage their operations in a way that improved both the productivity of their employees and contribution of their employees.
Well, that's a perfect segue. And of course, we mentioned QT is the one that you focused on in the book, but then Quick Trip with a K, one of their great sayings, and you hear it anytime you go to their headquarters, is they say, if you take care of your employees, they will take care of the customer. But taking apart, you talked about pay, and the other thing I really liked in terms of how you set this up, you talked about clarity, and not just clarity in job description, but clarity in terms of allowing employees to not have to overthink their jobs. One of the examples you mentioned is like in grocery, for instance, there could be 100 different promotions on products in a store in a given week. And you have to figure out which are the ones on sale. How do you do all this? And you're almost trying to not make mistakes. And when you try not to make mistakes, of course, you make mistakes. So you had talked about the idea in the book about simplicity and maybe just having regular low prices and allowing the employees to really use their thinking, their skills to serve customers instead of trying to memorize things that maybe they ought not to memorize.
If you think about the context like a convenience store, there is a ton of variability in your environment that comes from your customers already. Right? There is variability in how they arrive to your stores. There is variability in what they ask you. There is variability in how they perceive your service. Some customers might come in and they want to find things fast and leave, and some others might want to chat. So the employees that work there ideally would be in a position to be able to think about the service that they offer their customers and customize it on the spot to their customers. But what I found is so many organizations put so much self-inflicted variability in their operations by having their employees waste their times and mind share on tedious tasks that they don't have time for customers. They don't have time to either take care of them or even think about taking care of them. So you mentioned, having too many products, having too many promotions. Another one is having last minute changes. Disrupts an employee's life. So if companies can, and when you look at companies like Costco and Trader Joe's and especially Mercadona of Spain, what you find is that they have reduced that variability by simplifying their operations. They have very predictable operations, and what that predictability with simplifying it and with standardizing it, what that gives employee is, these are all these mundane tasks. I'm going to do them as fast as possible. My real job is to take care of the customer.
Well, and
taking care of customers, as you know now, is more important than, I mean, it's always been important, but it's even more important than before because we need to provide people a reason to shop at our stores. Otherwise, there are competitors out there that are hungry for our market share.
Oh, and I know that I mean we've all been to that restaurant or that place where the retail location where you go in and you just like feel like you're in their way, and you don't leave there feeling good. You know, like the you run in, especially when convenience, you're running in, you're doing the customer's going in fast, they need something quickly, they're probably coming on their way to something and they need to get there, and whether it was like they need to get gas or they were starving or someone had to go to the bathroom in the car, but you have a mission, you want to get in there, you want to get out of there, and in our 3 minutes is generally what people are in and out of stores in. And I mean, if just getting a smile or the time of day from an employee makes that experience so much better when, you don't know what the situation, like you said, they were coming in with, like maybe they had, they were having a bad day. They just sat in traffic for hours. So being able to be nice to the customers or being really friendly, even beyond just being nice, being kind, is important. So being able to allow your employees that opportunity to do that is extremely important in setting the tone for that day. And something else I was talking with someone earlier was about the digitization of life, basically, and how a lot of things are going digital. Like basically they can order without talking to a person. They can pay without talking to a person. But you talk about in your book being able to, I don't know if this is the right term, but retask the employees, being able to have enough of them on staff to be able to allow them the opportunity to do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do, whether it's stocking shelves or just asking a customer what they need or helping them out in situations like that. So I guess my question is, as the world gets faster and everything becomes more digital, how do you still make those employees feel needed, and how do you still need those employees?
Well, as the world gets more digital, people are also craving for human connection. We are, at the end, social animals. We like seeing other people. And there are still new stores opening. People still like going to retail stores. So in the digital world, I think one of the key for brick and mortar retailers will be to be able to create that human connection and ease of shopping for their customers. And to be able to do that, they need strong operations, and they need their employees who don't worry about those mundane tasks as much, but they can take care of the customer, they can offer the best value, and they can offer that human touch. It's so interesting, Carolyn, that you mentioned especially in your setting of convenience store chains, convenience stores. The very first time that I spoke to Chet Caju from QT, it was a phone call. I remember it so well. And he said, no one comes to our stores in a good mood. Like, they either need to go to the bathroom, they need cigarettes, they need gas. Like, nobody comes in a great mood. Oh, I'm going to go to the convenience store today. And he said, if we can, during that 2 minutes or 3 minutes that we have them there, if we can leave them happier than they entered, we have done our jobs. And I thought, oh, this is such CEO speak when I spoke to him on the phone. And then I visited a bunch of Quick Trip locations, and I was pretty amazed consistently how well they were able to take care of the customer through clean stores, easy to find the merchandise, short queues at the checkouts, and employees who are in a position to be able to take care of their customers because, one, they have the resources, and two, as you said, they have the time to be able to take care of the customer. But part of the reason why they have the time is because Quick Trip, like Mercadona, like Costco, they do a really nice job standardizing their tasks and to have an estimate, a forecast of what the workload is going to be and allocate the staff to the store based on that forecasted workload. So again, I come to like strong operations as a driver of both creating meaningfulness and sense of achievement for employees, and also for their ability to create great service and good value for their customers.
I'm glad you mentioned that point about people coming in a bad mood. I was just thinking, let's turn that the other way around. We get about, in our convenience stores across the country, they conduct about 165 million transactions every single day. Some are at the pump, some are inside the store, some are both. But we affect more than 100 million Americans every day. Imagine if we had the possibility of making people come in a bad mood and leaving in a good mood and affecting 100 million Americans every day. We could do some pretty amazing things as an industry. And that, I think, is sometimes you see that with employees. And so that's my bridge to talking about one of the other points you mentioned, which is purpose. And purpose in a job provides value for one of the reasons I just mentioned. You made people feel good. You have the power to affect positive vibes in life. But purpose also can be charitable giving. It can be something like that. What do some of the best companies do on a big scale or small scale to provide a sense of purpose with that job, no matter what that job is?
I think as I look at, and I'm biased, right, because I'm an operations management professor, but as I look at purpose, one of the best things that the companies can do is to make it very clear to the employee how their work makes a difference in someone else's life. So and this is one of the reasons that I love retail, because retail is a place where, as you said, like 165 million transactions every single day. About 8 million people work as salespeople in the retail industry, right? It touches so many people, and it can be, and in our divided nation right now, retail could be a place where it heals the country, because if you come in, regardless of your race, your gender, your background, you're treated with respect and dignity. Wow, that's great. If you're in a store where there's a group of people working together to accomplish a goal, to make a difference in somebody else's life, regardless of where they come from, they form a team. That starts breaking down those divisions and bringing people together. So I see retail as a place where, if it's done right, not only where companies have extraordinary performance and they provide good jobs, they provide great value for their customers, but also as a place where they serve the community, they serve the society, and they improve the society.
Now, is there a difference generationally that you see in the what people want?
I think if you look at research in what makes a job a good job or motivating, purpose has always been there. I mean, meaning, purpose has always been there. I think now people talk about it more, but I think everyone cares about purpose, and millennials, Generation Z, Y generation, everyone cares about purpose, but maybe some are more talk about it more than others.
Yeah, and I think that too often we lump millennials and they want this, other people don't want this. Some people want money, some people want benefits, some people want flexibility, some people want purpose, some people want the ability to move throughout the organization, some people want a little bit of all of that. And I think the good job strategy really ties all that together, and it allows companies to look at this and say, I can do that. We can be famous for this. We can do this. This may not work for us. So it's, first off, it's a great read, and it's great to talk to you about this. Leave with one final question. As you study stores and you look, you do interviews, you look at numbers, you look at all these other variables, but you also just go into stores. And it may be a store you've never gone to before. It may be a store that you've gone to a lot of these different stores in a company, but not this store. Is there something that's just an obvious cue when you walk in that says, whoa, I need to pay attention to here? Now, it may not pan out that this is a great jobs company or store, but are there one or two cues that you kind of key in on and say, this is worth looking at?
If I go into a store, first of all, I see a lot of customers and customers being nice and kind and caring. That gives me a cue, because oftentimes there is a dynamic between the customers and the employees. Like the companies that create great value for their customers are kinder to them, nicer to them. I don't know if you have noticed this, but there are some places where people both customers and employees just look happier. So that's one thing that I look for. And if I see that, I want to know more about the company. But the other, again, as an operations person, I go in and I look at the merchandise. And I walk in, like this is right now, we are entering fall. What do they have in the entrance? Can I see the prices? Are the stickers in the right place? Is it from the customers? Have they thought about how the store looks to the customers? Are the floors clean? Is the checkout long or is it short? And are people fast on the checkout or are they taking their time? So I look at a bunch of operational things as well as just how the customers are feeling. And the other thing that I almost always look at is the Yelp scores. And I know, of course, there's bias involved, but before I analyze a company, one of the first things I do, I go on Yelp and look at a bunch of Yelp scores, and then I go on Glassdoor to see like what employees are saying about them.
That's an incredibly good point. I mean, we've talked before about making sure your ratings are good. I mean, I know as a person, when I go, if I have a really bad experience somewhere or even a really good experience, that's when I'm going to go online and say something about that restaurant or that store. I mean, I don't think I ever go online and went, yeah, it was all right. I mean, I'm not going to take my time. I was like, meh. I mean, exactly. I got what I needed. I guess it's fine. You know, usually you don't read that when you're reading the Google review. But I mean, I know when I'm traveling, I constantly look at like, well, what are the reviews on this place? And if there's a lot that are skewed towards the ugh, then guess where I'm not going.
Yeah, and I think the lesson from that is that you may think you're fooling people, but with social media and all those other tools, you can put on that face, but the customer knows. So, Zeynep, it was a pleasure talking to you about this. If you haven't already, get the book, The Good Strategy. You were a speaker at the NACS show. You delivered great ratings. It's a pleasure to meet you, and we hope to talk to you again.
Thank you. Same here. Take care.
And thank you for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.